Coming at you live from the Fish Addiction Studio, your hosts, Mike Olson and Thor Skoy, with Fish Addictions, The Real Talk.
Hey guys, this is Mike, Thor, and Josh with The Real Talk, and we're back this week. Sorry it's been a little bit of a hiatus, but we've been busy.
A lot of holidays. I mean, there was rifle opener, there was muzzleloader opener, there was Thanksgiving.
What? That's a holiday?
Well, I mean...
Eat a lot of turkey, take a nap.
Yeah, I mean... Did you not eat turkey?
And in the meantime, ice started to form.
Oh, yeah.
It did.
I'm indifferent in how I feel about it, to be honest with you. It's like it just came overnight.
Yeah, what was it last weekend? We were out checking ice conditions.
Yeah, went out, checked a few ice conditions, and found a little bit of ice. Ice is growing. This week, things are going to pop open a little bit in some areas, and other areas are going to be fine.
Yeah, it was real warm out today.
Yeah, I talked to a buddy that was traveling from Fargo to Minot today, and he said there's about an inch of water on top of everything he drove past.
That's not good.
I wonder what it'll do for a whole week of that.
Yeah, I don't know. Kind of from what I've seen in fluctuating temperatures like that from like the southern side of the ice belt, it's not going to completely open up. It'll rot the first couple inches on top, which makes for real sketchy early ice because until we get that cold to firm it all back up, keep those spud bars out, basically.
By the time this comes out, we'll get that in a couple days. It looks like long-term forecast we're sitting right now, we'll get a warm week this week, and then it cools right back down next week.
Seems like next weekend or after this weekend, we're back in those teens and single digits for the nights, and doesn't take long with temps like that.
I'm not the guy that needs to rush out and be the first guy
I
out.
used to be, but I don't know. Just getting more hunting in, I guess, this fall.
I think that's my thing is like it always interfered with deer hunting, and I've got an obsession with deer hunting. I love sitting in the woods. Don't get me wrong, I like sitting on the ice and sharing that with everybody, but my kids love it. I love it. It's just something that we all enjoy. And the one thing I'm learning through all this is you have to stop and do the other things as well.
Very true. We've got 6 months ice fishing up here dang near, you know. Yeah, if you hadn't invited me out for muzzleloader, I would have been ice fishing this weekend, but I kind of, let's do muzzleloader, you know, try something a little different.
I've seen people out on Red Lake now.
Yeah. It always gets me. Like I'm so torn on that body of water. Like it's a great fishery.
Yep.
And nothing wrong with it. The problem that I have with it is you fight and fight. And I know there's guys rolling their eyes right now. The internet warriors are looking at us right now saying, get away from the crowds. I get it. I preach, whatever. But the thing is you pull into one spot and there's 200 vehicles there. You pull in the next spot, there's 100 vehicles there. And I know all the great fishermen are up there right now catching all those walleyes and early ice. I get it.
Yeah.
Scratch the itch.
It looks fun.
It's scratching the
It's a
itch.
good fishery. I mean, the fish are there. It's consistent early ice fishery, but I like to stay away from the crowds a little bit.
I mean, I guess people will say that about me too because I like going to Lake of the Woods no matter when, and that's just kind of the same thing. But
here's my deal
to
with
each
Red.
their own.
There's too many people for me to comfortably take a nap.
I think Thor did.
Thor
say
does need his beauty rest.
Yeah, Thor said the other day that if we ever see him laying on the ice taking a nap, that we are going to log the Thor naps this year. So, like, first episode will be like Thor. It'll show a picture of him, just a number 1 will show up above it. By the end of the season, we'll have to see how many of them actually add up on camera.
Well, it's going to depend on how many fish you catch. Because if I have to run a camera, I can't nap as much.
It's true. If you're napping, that's not good. We can catch one.
I mean, there's definitely going to be nap breaks for sure.
Right.
But yeah, no, we've been super busy with rifle season. Obviously, hopefully you guys caught Abby and Jake's deer. We said we'd have them on, but they're just old enough where they're doing sports.
They have so many things.
So it's so much going on that's hard to sneak them into the studio because they've got basketball. Abby's waking up sometimes at 5:30 in the morning to go to basketball practice. Wow. And she gets home, she's got homework. I mean, it's school. It's craziness.
Plus
really.
they're kids, so they have to go to bed at a decent time.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we're out here after basically the kids are going to bed. Yeah. So it's not that we don't want to have them out here, and we will have them out here at some point, or we'll do something with them. They really enjoyed it. All their friends thought it was pretty cool. Teachers watched the video. Their friends watched the video.
Nice.
It was kind of cool. Abby was a little embarrassed at first, but then like everybody was like, that was so cool, you know, and then she was good about it. So
well, the amount of emotion that she showed, and then especially having that on camera, like people get self-conscious when their emotions are showing to begin with.
I was impressed that she had enough wits about her to pick up the camera and go, I just shot a big buck.
I'll say this right now.
Because
if there's one person to take over my position in my family right now, it's going to be her.
Oh, yeah?
She will sit in here at the podcast table and literally talk to the camera. In fact, right here, we're going to stick some of that in.
Okay, you guys, so I just shot a buck. Sorry, my feelings don't work right now. Let me just calm down right now.
Oh, it's a bear. Holy crap. That is so awesome. You did that all by yourself. Oh my God, Abby. I cannot. You. Listen. Chins. Hold that thing out.
4 takes. And you know, to go back to your point about how she was able to pick the camera up after she shot the deer. After watching all that footage, it was fun because she talked to the camera during the entire hunt. You know, it was, all right, guys, I'm kind of bored right now, but this is so good. You know, like the stuff that didn't make it into the show.
Yeah.
And she was holding the camera when the deer walked in. She's like, I don't remember what she was talking about. She goes, oh, geez, I got to go. And then she comes back and she's like, guy, you know, and then it was that emotion.
That's funny because she told me she was talking to the camera when the deer came in, but she forgot to hit record. So she didn't even think it was recording.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's funny. Because she told me, she's like, I was like talking to the camera and then I like realized I wasn't actually recording. And I'm like, oh, okay, well that stinks. But that she really was. Yeah. That's awesome.
That's such a cool moment just to capture. You know?
Yeah.
You'll have that forever now. Relive it over and over.
Yeah.
But so we just got done muzzle loading. We're putting the guns away now. Man, we got a lot to do. Honestly, I've been putting it off. It's like one of those things I'm sitting next to one of the kings of procrastination. So he understands me.
Yeah, I get it.
But we got to hook the pickup camper up. We got
not only do we have
the
to
tracks put on the Ranger.
Not only do we have to hook the pickup camper up, we have to figure out how we're going to hook the pickup camper up.
We're just going to put it in the pickup and let it ride.
Throw Thor back there so it doesn't bounce around too much.
Can we get one ratchet strap all the way around the box?
I mean, why not?
That's what I said. Throw a canoe strap over the doors or in the doors.
It'll be interesting to see how that all works out for sure. I'm a little nervous about it. Thor's already said he's sleeping in the trailer.
Set up a hub and
I mean, maybe not all the time, but some of the time.
Well, we'll see how it works out. I do have that really comfortable cot.
You do. That's part of why. Like no matter how much space is in the camper, there's not room to put the cot in the camper.
No.
So if I want to sleep on the cot, I have to do it in the trailer.
We could hang hammocks up across.
I thought literally the day I pulled it back up here, I was like, oh, I wonder if Josh still has his hammocks because we could just skip because we were talking about building bunks in there.
Oh.
I was like, we could just run eye bolts. Not for me. I don't.
Yeah, we used to do the Boundary Waters in hammocks and not bring tents. And for, I think, 8 days and 10 days was the longest we did in hammocks. And they're super comfy to sleep in.
Can you put a rain tarp on them?
I was going to say, what did you do in the rain? Rain tarps?
Yeah, they had, so we had camping hammocks that had the hammock body, and then there was nylon bug mesh with a zipper to get in, and then a rain fly over the top. And yeah, that's an experience. Thunderstorms at night in a hammock where you're not in a tent and you just look under the tarp and the whole forest lights up and you're like, oh, what was that? And then it lights up again and it's not there and your mind's just playing tricks with you.
Were you like swaying in the wind and everything?
A little bit, but not too crazy. Yeah, it's an interesting way to camp. I mean, ultralight camping, I definitely recommend it.
I don't know about that.
I'm thinking to myself how much I actually really like my amenities now.
Yeah, like I just watched a video on TikTok the other day. I don't hike, I don't rock climb, but I watched multiple TikToks about a new inflatable bedroll that lets you sleep on your side. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I bet I spent close to an hour. Like, I will never use that product, but
Oh, I've got 4 of them.
that lets you sleep on the side?
I sleep on my side on the ones that I use. I use the Climate brand. They pack down a little bit bigger than that water bottle, and then they unfold and throw them on the tent floor. And
Okay.
I slept on those for 6 days elk hunting this fall.
Yeah, because these ones inflate to something like that.
Okay.
So you can, lay down and your ribs aren't digging. And
Did you guys camp up there, elk
Yeah,
hunting?
the whole time.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, every night we didn't. Yeah.
Huh.
Only went back into town one day for one shower in 6.5 days.
and that was in New Mexico?
Little from under cheese.
we were a little ripe. Brought the baby wipes, so
Yeah.
that helps.
Well, I suppose, because if you had to hike out every day and go back in after them, holy mackerel. Any experiences while elk hunting? That's crazy?
I mean, we had some close encounters with some bulls. I did stick them in the shoulder blade and watch them run away, which every elk hunter I've talked to is like, oh, I did that 2 years ago. Oh, I did that 5 years ago. But first animal I've stuck an arrow in and not recovered, so that was a little, I don't know, got to mentally fight with that for a little bit. But a lot of bear crap. Ran into a lot of bear crap while I was up on one ridge one morning.
You and I were actually in that same area
Yep.
last year and saw a bear.
Yep. And so where we saw that bear down at that water hole, this would have been on the ridge to the south and then to the east where it was real high up on top. And I put like 15 elk to bed up there and then went and that's the one I actually shot is those that next evening. Started right back where I lost them and I did have a really weird experience up on top of that ridge though. So I got up on top and this is at like 82,000 feet or 88,200 feet. And I get up on the very top of this ridge and I'm kind of just looking around and letting things settle a little bit, throw a couple cow calls kind of out across the valley, wait a little bit, do a locator bugle, sit, walk about 500 yards down the ridge, sit for a little bit, do a couple cow calls, wait, throw a locator bugle. And all of a sudden it sounded like a beef cow was just running at me. I didn't know what it was. I don't know. And then I'm like, holy crap. And that stopped. And I waited about 5 minutes, did another locator bugle, and then a bull bugled at me probably 100 yards away. But yeah, that was weird. I don't know what that was. I don't have an explanation.
Super close to you?
And that was right where I was in all of that bear crap. And I didn't know if I spooked a bear that was like bluff charging me in the brush or what the heck happened. Because it was running at me. It wasn't like running away from me. And then I just heard this and it stopped. And then I never heard it again. I pulled my pistol out and just had that on my hip after that happened, but it was in my backpack. I mean, we're in bear and cougar country, but yeah, I had no explanation for what that was. It was really interesting.
Could you have wandered into Sasquatch country?
It crossed my mind. I'm out there all by myself, miles away from anything up in the mountains. And yeah,
That's crazy. Yeah, that would have freaked me out.
a little bit.
Out in the red, big, tall mountains. But, well, we do want to obviously talk ice fishing, but
Yeah.
it's been a while, so we wanted to catch you guys up on what's been going on here. Ice fishing. I think you had a few things you wanted to talk about.
Well, so kind of what I have always signaled as the start of the ice fishing season is when the shows start.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got Minneapolis coming up.
Yep,
We've
absolutely.
got Fargo. Sioux Falls already happened. Blaine happened. So,
Yeah, it's kind of weird, actually, because we
Yeah.
haven't had them for over a year.
Yep.
yeah, almost
And-
forget about them.
Yeah, almost.
I'm excited to get back to St. Paul just to see, because every year, like the St. Paul Ice Show for me is what is new out there, you know, and we didn't really have that hands-on experience. What is new of all of the ice? Well, not all, but I would say a very high percentage of the companies that produce ice fishing gear, tackle rods, houses, all of it are in attendance at that St. Paul Ice Show, and to have a year go by. So we've got 2 years of innovation that we're going to, be able to touch and see at this show coming up this weekend.
And that was actually going to be my question. What product or innovation are you hoping to see this year?
I've always been a big fan of ice plastics, and just watching the evolution of those ice plastics from like back in the day, the only company was like Little Atom or Custom Jigs and Spins had some ice plastics, and they were very similar in shape and function. And just the amount that are on the market is crazy, and every different shape has a different action when you jig it at a certain cadence, and the stiffness of the plastic and the shape and how much vibration and water disturbance they put out. And that's one thing I look forward to is just checking out all of the various shapes of ice plastics. So I've got like in my head what I would think would be the perfect plastic, and I found some that are really close and some that are not, and and that's one that I really look forward to.
It's funny. I was actually doing a radio show earlier today, and that was one of the things they asked was like, what's probably the biggest innovation in fishing, ice fishing right now? And my answer was, of course, we could talk about electronics. Everybody knows about electronics.
Yep.
But what a lot of people don't understand is, as the open water world has gone to artificials, the ice fishing world is strong, making that same push.
Very so.
And a
very
lot
much
of
so.
baits, a lot of things. That's probably where you see the biggest changes. I mean, there's always new rod companies. There's always new gadgets for your wheelhouse. But artificial baits in general, I'll take it a step further over plastics, is just your rattle baits to your jig and wrap type baits to any of that kind of stuff. Like, everybody's making new stuff, and there's a real big push for that right now.
Yep.
And it's kind of a cool thing. That's probably my favorite thing to see too. Is I'll take it one step further than the plastics. It's just the artificial realm of ice fishing.
Absolutely.
Right
I mean, just in the last 2-3 years, the amount of, I always refer to them as body baits, if they have a rattle or not, but your horizontal swimming baits. I mean, we've got basically two classifications: the ones that are lead, puppet minnows, jig and wraps, things of that nature, and then I mean, way back when the Salmo chubby darter first
now.
came
The
out,
chubby darter.
it's like you can catch a fish on something that looks like a crankbait through the ice, and it was a few years before that really caught on, and then everybody had them. Then they came out with different baits that had similar style with rattles in them, and then it just
What
exploded.
people don't understand is like the jigging wrap was actually originally for ice fishing.
Yeah.
Like that was developed to jig through the ice.
If you look at like overseas at ice fishing tackle, we've got a lot of tungsten jigs. There's a lot of vertical spoons that are real flashy, like nickel or gold plated. And then you've always got those horizontal minnow baits that are very similar to a jig and wrap.
So this was a little bit off tangent, but it goes back to the hard body baits. I have never had good success with a Swedish Pimple, and I would like to change that this year.
That's a funny one because I've fished them before, and I don't think I've ever caught anything on a Swedish Pimple.
They're supposed to be one of the greatest
I know.
spoons ever made.
Yeah.
And I believe the people that say that.
Funny Swedish Pimple story. So Troy Peterson, Mr. Bluegill, we filmed with him a couple times, and we're out on Winnebago, and we're fishing white bass and walleyes. And he pulls out the Swedish Pimple, silver Swedish Pimple. And he's like, this is what you need. So I grabbed one naturally. He fishes there all the time. Put it on. I put a minnow head on. And he proceeded to outfish me with the Swedish Pimple with zero bait. Like literally zero bait. 5-1.
Wow.
And he says you put bait on it, it takes the action of the Swedish Pimple away. And he will, and then not only that same year, he goes up to the Northwest Angle, outfishes everybody on walleyes with the Swedish Pimple, zero bait.
Really?
I mean, I think it's maybe one of those baits that you have to utilize and work it,
Yeah, and if you jig them, I mean, you pull them up, they basically come straight up, and then they kick on their side and just wobble down.
Yeah.
And I
felt like less of a man that day. I really did,
there's
because
guys that
he
swear-
just kills it.
Yeah, they swear up and down by him. It's the first bait they pick, and it's, I guess if you know, you know, and we don't know.
I didn't know. That's for sure.
I think that's a video right there. We should go out and beat our heads against a wall
Fish nothing but Swedish
until
Pimples.
one of us figures out how to catch fish with a Swedish Pimple.
I'm up for a challenge, man.
I mean, because it's one of those classic baits that everybody talks about.
Another one that was similar like that was that PK spoon that came out a few years back. It's kind of a willow leaf, but I had a buddy. He's like, I'm just crushing walleyes on.
See, I
Devil's Lake.
love the PKs.
I do too, but he'd fish them no bait
Oh.
and do way better than I would ever do with bait.
And a lot of guys are tipping spoons with plastics now.
Yep.
A lot of guys are doing that.
I saw this thing. You know, we've talked about the World Ice Fishing Competition where they use palm rods and they use like bloodworms for bait. And I can't remember what it was. I think I was flipping through TikTok and we were out at the deer shack, and it was this device that it had 4 prongs.
Yes.
You put a little rubber band on it and you push a button and the prongs open up and you slip a hook in it and you let it close, but you leave the prongs in it, and you go into a tub of bloodworms and you open it and close it and then pull the thing out so that it rubber bands all the bloodworms to your hook. And you've got this just little gob of wriggly goodness that
it's almost like for carp fishing with the bread balls.
Yeah, similar.
But except for the live bloodworms.
I've
It is
seen that
really
too.
cool.
It was
There's
neat.
a ton on
and
there.
I'm like, I want to find some bloodworms to try that with, you know, in order. I mean, perch when it's slow and you're just dangling that like an inch, a half inch off the bottom, and it's just wriggling. I would imagine that would dominate.
Catch every tiny 7-inch perch in the system. That's the problem with perch.
You got to go to a system that.
The problem is the system that I know that has the biggest perch in them also has a large quantity of
The
small
little guys,
perch.
yeah, yeah.
Like we literally had no choice but to use minnows there because big enough where the little perch won't eat 'em.
Okay.
Where we filmed 2 years ago. Actually, where that guy came from, up there.
Yeah,
I don't know if they
yeah.
can see him, but
That
Maybe.
that's one thing is you got to have that proper predator base, and in a situation like that, I would imagine the large perch are the predator, and once the little perch gets so big, then you've got this period of time where they're, you know, not desirable size, but they're not edible to the larger perch. So there's probably a few year classes in there that are.
oh yeah.
I'd call them annoying. They're fun for kids.
Remember when we were at that one place? Mine,
Yes.
mine. And we're like down the hole looking at it. I was like, nope, not you.
Sight
Nope, not
fishing.
you. Nope. Oh, there's a big one. Nope, come on. Oh,
Yep.
here comes the big one. Nope, not you. Oh. It's like, drive you insane.
Yeah, we were out there all day.
I was dizzy.
I couldn't imagine. I don't even know the number of perch we put topside, but we did get some big ones, and it was just a sight fishing keep away game.
We got some of those. Some of these.
Some of these.
Classic episode.
Oh,
if you go
man.
back to fishing with Ross, our buddy Ross Swenson, back before he
I think that
killed it on the Pike episode last year.
I think that was a vlog, or I think that was a
That was-
fishing report.
that was
I don't
a
even know if
fishing
that was a
report.
full episode.
Is that what it was?
That was way
It
back.
was an old fishing report.
That was from year one.
So we probably won't see it this year at any of the fishing shows. But I'm looking forward to seeing how electronics change now that everybody has an available live sonar.
So, did you see that video that Jay Siemens put out today?
I've
haven't
seen
watched
them,
it
but I
yet,
haven't
but I saw
watched
I
them.
watched about half of it, and it was a really neat side-by-side comparison fishing the Lowrance, the Garmin,
Yeah, he had
and the
all three
Humminbird.
of them
He had
with
all
him.
three of them on the ice side by side, and he had one camera viewing all of the screens at the same time, and he caught them so they were, you know, easy
Yeah.
to see on a YouTube video. But just being able to compare the differences between all of the units and which ones perform at the resolution, which ones are better at lack of lag, which ones mark fish better, which ones mark structure at a distance better. I mean, it's they all have their pros and cons, but it was a really cool video because it was, the whole idea was, it's for you to decide. I'm just putting this information out there.
Yeah,
It was
he does a
pretty
really
neat.
good job with that.
Well, and because we've been talking about it since Panoptics came out, that we need a competitor.
Yep.
You know,
To drive the price down.
well, not only that, but to drive the innovation.
Yeah, that too.
You know, so Garmin came out with Panoptics,
And they dominated for Panoptics first.
and then they doubled down on it, and they came out with Live Scope
Yep.
before anybody else had one. So they did the first, and they did version 1 and version 1.5.
Yep.
Maybe version 2. I don't know how you want to call it, but we're going to be seeing those.
My mind goes
now they have to
what's
compete.
next.
Right.
you know, what's the next step past live scope?
Mr. NDA with the smirk over here.
It's fun to just watch the whole thing go down. I mean, we got to be a part of it at Fish Addictions back when Panoptics was there,
Right.
and then I don't know if people should actually go back and look at the video we did for our introduction to Garmin.
Was it the catfish one?
No, with the auger spinning. Like
Oh,
the one where
yeah.
we like came up with this really cool idea
And
way
you
back
waded
then.
out to your neck.
Waded out in the ice and spun the auger, did all that kind of stuff. It was awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
and the things that are going to happen and coming are going to be awesome too, I'm sure. I mean, it's just it's
You know, 'cause
it's a fun. That's all right. It's fun to be a part of, but also there is a double standard to it. You know, I mean, like we have to learn as sportsmen. Like I had this conversation on the radio today again. We have to, as sportsmen, learn how to
limit ourselves.
limit
on our
and
take.
and reserve our resources with as everything. I actually had an argument on the radio show about this today. One guy was totally against all of this.
against the live sonars.
Yeah, would like to see it gone. And that's never going to happen. So just get over it. It's
Just
not
like the
going to.
underwater cameras when they first came out.
Right.
And there
'Cause
was
an
some-
underwater camera is
They banned it.
arguably the same, you know.
They
Correct me if I'm wrong, but for a while, underwater cameras were
banned in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the first couple of years that I believe it was Aquaview was the first on the scene there. Yeah, they were banned. But that's back when it was like this little tiny white screen and you had to look through this. It was like
Yeah.
a big funnel. And
Yeah.
you're just staring here.
Yeah.
jigging, and yeah, they're wicked cool, but those have come so dang far too.
And I can see situational banning. I know that like with the sturgeon harvest in Wisconsin, people are against using the live sonars because it leads to a lot of blind throwing.
That makes sense.
You know,
yeah.
where you see it on your sonar, but you can't actually see it, but you throw a spear at it anyway. And you know, so like in that situation, I can see
That's
it.
a very unique situation.
Right.
that-
I'm under the thing that we have to make decisions for ourselves. And as sportsmen, we should have the best interest of the resource in mind as a sportsman.
Right.
It was part of
I'll say right now, if you're a sportsman that is just out there to kill and just out there to be a meat mongrel, in my mind, you're not a sportsman. Because
part of
I
being
want to
a-
be conscious of, you know, it's like it's like getting a deer tag and shooting a deer, but it wasn't the deer you wanted, so you just kind of brought it home, cut it up, and go
Shot
out and
another
get
one.
another one. You'll probably never get caught, but it's the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, part of being a sportsman that I fully believe is being a steward of the resource.
Absolutely.
Showing that resource respect, teaching others ethics around it. I mean, you just look at, so we'll give Devil's Lake, North Dakota as an example. Like walleyes on that lake, I won't keep anything over 20. That's just me. It's not a regulation. You can keep whatever you want, but the size class of fish that are going to be your strongest reproducers are that 21, 22 to like 26 to 28 inch fish. Totally legal to keep them in that window. And I know a lot of guys that do, and that's their prerogative, but
I even like to put it on the bottom end too. I like to try to be between 15 and 20.
yeah.
That's kind of my goal.
Oh yeah.
Have there been days where I have stretched that on either side? Yes.
Yep. And I think your perfect eater walleye is that 14, 15, maybe 16. But, I've eaten a lot of 14-inch walleyes.
Right. So actually, while you have that, with maintaining a resource, what are some things that you actively do to keep resources clean?
Oh,
Like the everyday thing. We obviously try to not throw our garbage on the ice.
Leave no-
simple,
leave no
simple-
trace.
Yeah, take out what you take in. I mean,
take
no
out
matter
more
what.
than what you take
Yeah.
in.
Well, one thing that I think people forget about a lot is when you cut tags off your line, or you pull some you pull some off the spool. Put that in your pocket.
Yep.
Don't throw it off the side of the boat. Don't drop it down the hole. Don't throw it in a snowbank.
Right.
That kind of stuff.
A big one I see every year ice fishing. when the ice is going out, is propane bottles floating around in the ice, or the ice mass. And I don't know how many propane bottles you see floating around shortly after ice fishing up along the lake shore, but yeah, pack it out.
One is too many.
One is definitely too many.
I was snowmobiling across Lake of the Woods a few years ago, and I came across a 10-pack 100-pounders laying on the ice.
No.
Yeah, just laying on the ice. I don't know if somebody was pulling houses off and they fell off and didn't notice them, but there's a 10-pack 100-pound propane tanks laying there. Maybe they were coming back for them. Yeah, I have no idea,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, it was
That
just,
seems a little on the extreme end, but yeah.
it was like, I mean, what do you do? Because a 100-pound propane tank.
Are they
Just pick
full
that
too?
up.
No. Well, I guess I don't know for sure because they
But
were
still, if
like
you're on a
frozen-ish into
snowmobile,
the
you're
snow.
not going to be able to transport that.
Right, I
and
could
do
drag
anything.
it, but
Yeah.
that seems sketchy.
I mean, maybe drop a pin and let a resort know.
I'd like 100-pounder for each one of my deer stands.
Right.
Because we were hunting this weekend, and one of our buddies, that's what he does. He puts a 100-pounder on his straps it to his deer stand, and he hasn't had to change them in like 8 years.
Yeah. That's brilliant.
Yeah, it actually really is. Like, strap it to the side, throw it. Yeah, I mean, I'm carrying 1-pounders in, refilling 1-pounders just to go to the deer stand every day.
Yeah. So help remind me at the 32-minute mark. That was the Suzuki conversation.
Oh,
One of our longer partnerships with Suzuki Motors. They're working on their Clean Oceans project, and they've asked us to participate in how we help keep our resources clean.
Okay.
And, so that's part of it. We talk about it all the time. We preach, people preach it, but maybe it gets forgotten.
Yep.
it's an overlooked thing. You don't even you if you do the things, you don't even think you're not
Right.
If you, as simple as keeping the line, keeping not throwing if a hook breaks, not throwing it overboard. If your pop bottles and stuff, like, have a garbage in your boat, so when you're going across the lake, it doesn't accidentally blow out. I
Yep.
mean, it's just the simple things that you take for granted and don't do that can keep everybody clean, keep everything in good shape. We only have one Devil's Lake. We only have one Lake of the Woods. We only have these, like, these aren't unlimited resources. They're
Right.
resources that are up to us to keep clean.
Right. They've
whether
been,
it's
they've
us or
been
the
great
next
to us
person.
for years, but they won't be forever.
They could not be forever, right?
Right.
I mean, that's really up to us.
One thing I've noticed with the pandemic is there's a lot of new anglers on the scene, and it's educating them, because everyone wants to go out and catch a fish, but there's a lot more to it than just going out and catching a fish. I mean, if it being anytime you're bank fishing at any local spot that's decent whatsoever, there's garbage everywhere. And I mean,
People burning all their garbage and then leaving aluminum and whatever doesn't burn in the fire pit next
Yep.
to the bank. I mean,
Well,
it's
and with the new anglers thing, it's one thing for me to go out with a buddy who's never fished before and be like, come on, man, really? You're just going to do that? Versus me being a 6-year-old kid, dropping the lid of the leeches off the side of the pontoon, and my grandpa looking at me and saying,
go get it.
that's not okay. It means a lot more when you learned how to angle that way.
Yep.
And it's awesome how these new people are coming into the sport. But we need to make sure that we're able to translate the traditions to them in the stewardship way, because a lot of people don't see hunting and fishing in a positive light. And that's why social media platforms, essentially shadow ban the outdoors, because they don't see the positive of it.
And that's one thing that certain groups have focused in on, is the destruction of the resource due to anglers. And I mean, hunters and anglers, those that don't have respect for the resource, it could be a very small number, but another part of that is license sales go right back into the resource. Stocking programs to get those fisheries or those fishery numbers up to
Special taxes on equipment.
Yep. That's another one.
people don't really understand that we may be hunting and fishing and taking the resource, but we're also contributing willingly
Right.
to restocking and cleaning, whether it's cleaning efforts, whether it's restocking efforts, whether it's damming efforts, whether it's new habitat efforts. All that's being, everything that happens outdoors is funded by outdoorsmen.
Yes. Very
So,
much so.
that's the thing that people don't understand.
Oh, even wildlife management, to introducing species to their native range, and all of that is funded through the outdoorsmen that go and pursue those animals out in the resource.
It wasn't very long ago I knew the number that outdoorsmen put back into the outdoors, and it was holy crap.
Yeah.
You know, every license, like you said, even hunting shells or shotgun shells, rifle shells, they all have a tax that gets put
Yeah,
right back into it.
Specifically
I can't
earmarked
remember
towards
the
the
name
outdoors.
of the tax, but it's even as far as your gear, your clothing, your backpack, all of it has this certain tax that we as consumers aren't aware of, and it's happening in the back end. And I don't think there's a lot of people out there that really realize that just purchasing hunting and fishing gear, you're putting money right towards that resource that you're buying that gear to go use.
And here's the funny part about it. I've never heard any of us complain about it.
Not once.
I've never noticed it. I didn't know it existed until one of the last projects that I did in college was writing. I wrote like a 20-page paper about the positive impact of outdoorsmen on the outdoors.
Cool.
And,
I like that.
And like that was one of I had an idea, obviously, like because we all look at ourselves as stewards, but people tend to look at themselves in a better light than maybe other people do. And I mean, it blows your mind. And not only like those taxes and things, but organizations that are led by outdoorsmen. You've got Ducks Unlimited, Pheasants Forever, Suzuki doing their Clean Ocean project. Orvis has a phenomenal Share the Water program. A lot of these companies are devoting massive amounts of money
Absolutely.
towards keeping our resources clean. And they're
So
and there very well could be hiking groups, climbing, et cetera. That's not my world, so I don't know. I don't mean to bash the other people that are using the outdoors.
No, and stewards of the land and outdoorsmen isn't reserved just for hunting and fishing. I believe the definition for an outdoorsman is just someone just enjoying the outdoors. I mean, it could be hiking, it could be camping, it could be horseback riding, it could be riding ATVs, it could be hunting, fishing, all of the above, skiing even.
Right?
Yeah.
Especially like cross-country skiing and snowshoeing.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of my big dreams for the year is that before the pheasant season closes, that we
Hunt
get
'em on snowshoes.
I want to get like 2 to 3 feet of snow. Tell my dog to deal with it. I'm putting on snowshoes and I'm gliding. And that might make me a bad steward of the land.
I don't know how it would.
Well, I mean, I guess I'd only be able to shoot my bag limit, but I think those pheasants would be very vulnerable in that position.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. The pheasants will bury themselves in the snow, so your dog better realize it. It's
He
crazy.
won't. He'll have to step on them. He's not there yet.
Well, I don't know how we got from shows to that, but let's go back to shows.
So,
absolutely.
And preparing for the ice season.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I mean, sometimes you get off on those tangents, but like I said, we haven't had shows for a year. You've said a few shows have happened already. I did not attend any of those. That kind of bad timing for deer hunting and that kind of stuff. But we will be attending the St. Paul show. I actually am part owner in the Fargo show. We got it to come up to Fargo, North Dakota. It's been really awesome. And I'll touch on the Fargo show in a second, but with like St. Paul, it's basically the ICAST of fishing.
Ice
You know,
fishing.
ice fishing.
Yep.
Yep.
And
And
so,
it's open to the public.
yeah, and everybody's there. Everybody's doing stuff. Now, here's the one thing that I'm kind of as a show promoter and stuff, I'm a little bit nervous about is like, and because we're later, we're in better shape. But the thing is everybody always talks about deals at shows. I think what we've been told is there's still going to be really good deals at the shows, but it might be where people are going to have to exchange a little bit and realize that they're probably not going to be able to carry everything out of the show. You can buy it, you're going to get it.
Oh,
but
the supply chain.
the supply chain,
Yes.
what a lot of people aren't thinking about is
Right.
supply chains. Now, I've been told we're going to be just fine. I'm a little nervous about it still, but it's going to be I think it's going to be a little different. I'm interested to see how everything goes down after taking a year off. Like, what did people learn from not being at a show for a year? Is it going to get more aggressive? Is it not going to get more aggressive?
Are people going to double their show budgets and have some just out of this world booths?
So what I think is the people coming to shop are going to buy twice as much.
Oh,
Right.
Because
save
it's
that,
there.
save
now,
that show budget.
It's there. It's now. Get it now or don't get it at all.
Right.
Right.
Because
panic buying.
I know a
ice fishing
lot.
gear.
I know a lot of these people are saving inventory for these shows because they don't want to go to these shows empty-handed. So they're saving inventory and still going to do the deals. Get it at the show or don't get it at all, type thing.
So, like you said, you'll eventually get everything. And I don't know if anybody's going to do this, but what is one company that if they said, you can't take this today, but we'll give you 10% off if you let us ship it to you? What's one product that you would say, no, I want this now?
Oh, the electronics.
It was something you don't have. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're upgrading your arsenal and you've got a flasher, a different unit that you're using, I could see that being acceptable. If it's, your first ice house and you don't have something else, that would be.
Oh, there's going to be a ton of decisions made on what's there and what could be taken. Listen, we are a want it now society. And I've told a lot of people that the one thing that maybe this whole pandemic has done is hopefully maybe some percentage of society has got some patience.
I kind of think the opposite. Because
Yeah, that's not me.
Now,
Like we got
you know
TikTok.
how many Amazon orders show up at my doorstep?
Yeah, but Amazon order isn't the a want it now thing. I mean, it happens in a couple days.
I mean, I'm irritated if it's
would-
not there in 3 days.
I would say that the society in general has been.
Our society is screwed.
I guess I also haven't been super negatively impacted in anything that I've wanted to get. Like I realized on Wednesday that one of my hunting boots was lost and gone forever.
Yeah, you did.
But like
Did you buy a new pair?
yeah, I was able to go buy a new pair of boots today. Where the pair of boots that are now missing were boots that I had ordered.
So what'd you wear when you went pheasant hunting?
I was down in St. Cloud. It was cold up with no snow. Everything was dry, so I wore some like Keen ankle boots.
Oh.
So they weren't my hunting boots, but like I had boots to wear. So it wasn't a day ruiner for me. It was just kind of one of those like, really? Like, cause I realized it like halfway through that only one of my boots was in my truck.
I will say the one thing is smaller businesses getting, sales. They're taking a beating from online sales. We'll put it that way.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one thing I do diligently is if I won't order it online unless I cannot find it locally.
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, people aren't speaking of small businesses, people are not going to realize or appreciate the businesses they have, whether it's a grocery store or a bait shop, that they're not going to appreciate until they don't have it anymore.
Right.
And there's
Taking
a
it
lot
for
of that.
granted.
I mean, we could get into that.
Well,
for hours.
because it is everything.
Literally,
I try
everything.
everything to be local if I can, but sometimes I can't.
Right.
Even not even local, just guys that are small bait shops,
Right.
that kind of stuff.
They're local to somebody's region,
right.
And maybe I'm buying jigs or something from some guy that does custom baits, and he happens to live in Alabama, but he's still pouring jigs in his garage.
Yeah.
He's not Amazon. I still count that as shopping local. That's
Yeah.
that's contributing directly to somebody's local economy, whether it's our local economy or theirs.
Yep.
Man, our tangents tonight.
That's all right. It's okay.
So we're getting ready for ice fishing.
Yeah. Actually, got back from muzzleloader hunting last night and started rigging ice rods.
Did you get reels?
I got 4. I got 6 more I need to get.
I've got one of those over there that we were talking about
Oh,
yesterday.
yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Check it out. But so yeah, I mean, getting ready for ice is part of ice for you, changing line and do that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
stripping old line, respooling new line, determining what rods are going to be used for what application, what type of reel is going on each rod, what type of line for those different scenarios and situations. I mean, if you really want to go on a tangent, I can get into rigging.
It's just funny. So
no, just in general.
I do that with all of my open water stuff. I couldn't tell you the last time I've done that with my ice fishing rods.
We went to Wisconsin last year, and we were going specifically for pike. And Thor grabs 3 rods and says, I'm not sure when the last time these were re-spooled. It'll work.
I mean, I didn't catch anything on any of them, so they did work.
They worked
That is
just fine.
that is one thing I will throw out there is there's basically 3 main classifications of line. You got
What do you have in
monofilament.
there?
Some Irish.
Whiskey.
Yeah,
We got
I smell it.
it's tasty.
nylon monofilament, which is very susceptible to UV rays, and heat as well. That needs to be changed more often. Then we've got fluorocarbon, which is also a monofilament. It's a single filament, but it's a different composite or a different mixture of.
And not even to say the memory,
Yeah, that too.
happens to that.
But the fluorocarbon will last longer than a monofilament. And then you've got braid, which has 0 memory, but braids are less abrasion resistant and, impervious to fraying and color fading, and they do get weak after time. But as far as like the longevity, monofilament needs to be replaced way more often, at least every season. Fluorocarbon, I'll go 2 to 3 seasons with fluorocarbon, and then braid 3 to 5, depending on how much abuse it takes.
I just naturally restring them all every year.
Yeah.
One
thing
talking about saving the environment. When you restring your rods, every sporting goods store has a place for you to put it. Don't throw it in the
very
dump.
true.
And a lot of boat launches now have a spot that you
Yeah,
can
they
put line in, which is very nice.
One trick for braid, because especially on ice reels, I mean, the majority of ice anglers out there are fishing, we'll say 40 feet or less. Just throw a number out there, 40 to 50 feet or less. You got a 50-yard spool of braid, typical what you get in the little package that you put on your reel. It's 150 feet of line. You're only ever touching the first 50 feet of line. Instead of just cutting 50 feet off, if you've got the space to do it, string it all out, cut it off the reel, go to the other end and rewind it on.
A lot of times I'll just open the bail and wind it off that one onto the other
Oh,
one.
yeah.
I
don't find myself doing that as much as I used to, because I find myself stringing rods several times a year for different
scenarios,
scenarios. And tournament fishing really got me into that.
Yeah.
Like, and it depends what I'm doing. If I'm up at Lake Winnipeg and I'm constantly jigging and putting a lot of strain and pressure on that line, a lot of times I'll, the next time I'll just I don't know. I just really get really anal about that.
It's your connection to your quarry is your line, and that's one thing that a lot of people don't take into account when they're making purchases for the new season. Like Thor going, I don't remember the last time. It'll be fine. I would imagine you broke off a few fish.
Well, the only fish that I broke off last year, I fought in an ice house on Lake of the Woods for 45 minutes, and we never saw it.
Had to have been a sturgeon.
Right. Yeah. But I'm not willing to put that blame on my line.
No.
I mean, I fought that fish for 45 minutes. And not only that,
you were
minutes.
using your panfish rod.
Yeah, I had 6-pound fluoro on.
That.
It was at least 6.
Was it?
Yeah. It's like, I'm not going to blame that on my line.
No.
I'd blame it on my knot before I blamed it on my line.
True, but you have higher knot strength with fresher line.
Right. But either way, it didn't break. I mean, it sheared off on the bottom of the ice hole.
Yeah.
That would have been so much fun. I mean, it was fun. It would have been really fun to get it on top.
I've never, Thor's a pretty calm and cool, collective guy.
Yeah.
He was sweating. He, a part of him just wanted it to be over, a part of him was like, I'm gonna get this. I need to get this fish in. Yeah. I need to get it in. I just don't know what you had. It was either a sturgeon or a giant pike.
I actually had a dream about that fish the other day.
Really?
Yeah, and I I think in the dream it turned out to be a lake trout that didn't fit through the hole. So we lifted up the ice house and like pulled the ice house forward so we could be outside and have more. It was a whole thing. Like
We got it though.
we did end up getting it.
Well, it was a dream.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, it was a dream. I wasn't going to lose in my own dream. Not this time.
I mean, I've lost in my own dream before.
Yeah, well, supermodels don't count.
Well, something cool that we're doing at Talking Ice shows again. Let's go back at that.
Yeah.
So something cool that we're doing at the Fargo Ice show is we are doing all of our seminars live streamed on the Fargo Ice show.
Oh,
so every
nice.
single one will actually be, even if you don't make the show,
You still
they'll
get-
be live streamed.
Still get the info.
All of it, and they're going to be question and answer. So you'll do your seminar, but anybody on the live stream will. We have Joel Nelson. Actually, I think I can
Mediating?
say mediating everything. So he'll be actually like asking the presenters
That's cool.
questions that they can answer from.
So it's kind of that
the audience.
that virtual experience.
Yeah,
And then you have those videos saved on the Fargo Ice Show Facebook page.
go back and watch them.
Like, that's perfect.
Very cool.
So it'd be a plethora, and there's gonna be some really cool seminars too. Some good people speaking.
Because, like, I don't know, maybe it's the nerd in me, but I would like to watch it once and just absorb and
Then watch it again and take notes.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be super cool, super interesting to do that.
That will be cool.
And it's something new.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's
And you don't necessarily have to walk away from your show experience to participate.
Yeah.
You know, which is
Well,
also big.
let's be super honest. Like 10 years ago, you do a seminar, there was 100 and some people sitting in the
Yep.
room watching you. I mean, I've had as many as 150 to 1
Yep.
to none.
Yeah.
And depends on the show, depends on what you're talking about and everything like that. I mean, you want to talk about humbling experience?
Oh yeah.
Do a seminar to one person.
Yep.
Did you do the whole seminar, or did you just go like, what do you want to know?
I've done it both ways.
Okay.
I've done enough seminars that it's like, it's really, really, really fun when you have 20 plus people in the room.
Yep.
And it's really, really, really humbling to have one person in the room. No, I mean, I've done the whole seminar. I've done the seminar in more of a fast forward version
Yep.
with that most of the time. But then it's also fun to be able to sit down if that person's engaged in what you're talking about. I mean, obviously they're there because they're interested.
Right.
Hopefully they're not there just to sit down and have a burger and have a quick break and
Yeah.
not really care about what you have to say. But if they're engaged in what you're talking about, it's actually pretty fun to sit down and have a real conversation.
More of
with
a
them.
conversation than a presentation.
So that is one of the reasons that I like doing this podcast offline, is so that we don't worry about who's watching it live.
We have had one really bad experience that did not like one of the staff members, and
Oh really?
whew, it was rough.
Yeah.
It was rough.
It gets
It was
really
kinda like-
unfortunate. Like,
That is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
What is going on?
because you're still trying to answer questions, and you know, it's partially on us where we come into those podcasts not necessarily as prepared with what we want to talk about.
Yeah, but that's like the whole point of this podcast. Like,
Right, but when you're planning on banking on questions and then there's no questions, you're like,
because
well,
one guy ruins it for everybody.
yeah,
It's called internet bullying. Didn't we have a podcast on that? We should re-put that one back up.
we did.
I even got bullied on the internet bullying one. There's like some guy that was like telling me to quit being a effing baby and all that
Oh,
kind of stuff.
geez.
And I'm like, really? Like
what-
after all this,
is what we're talking
this is
about.
what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. And no, I wasn't internet bullying people that were on Red Lake earlier. Go to Red Lake. It's just not my cup of tea.
Right. Yeah, nobody's saying don't go.
No, it's a good fishery. And it's one of the first places you can go out and catch a limit of walleyes. There's monster pike
The
in
thing
there.
is we have probably just as good a spots around here where we don't have to go there. So why go fight the crowds and you don't have to?
Yep.
So when you're going out and checking ice, you know, I know that the goal is to kind of cover as many lakes and gather as much information as you can.
When you're talking checking ice, like before it's fishable.
Like this time of year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
I'll go throw a spud bar and some cleats in the back, grab a float suit, and go cruise around. And it depends on
Did
the
you ever
day
get
how
that
much.
footage we filmed for you?
I did. I haven't used it yet.
Okay,
I'm gonna use
I was
it.
curious about that.
Yeah,
okay.
we were talking about that yesterday.
Yeah,
It'll be okay. But what rod do you bring with you, or do you not even think about dropping a line?
I don't.
It really depends.
Yeah.
Are you going to check ice or are you going to fish?
Right.
Like
Like you're
there's
going
two
to check
differences
ice.
where you don't
Yeah.
bring a rod
Yeah.
because you will
Nope.
never get to the next lake.
Correct.
Okay.
If you get one that's got 3.5, 4 inches, and you feel comfortable on that, but you're probably not going to check any other lakes.
Because I know when you go to check on ice out, you bring a rod.
Well, sure, because
That's a
you're
little
intending to fish
If you can.
if you can. And then you only check more than one spot if you can't fish the first spot.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely, that was,
I mean, we gotta provide some sort of insider tip.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, I mean, early on, checking ice, it's don't bring the equipment. If the ice is good, run home, grab the equipment if that's somewhere you want to go. If it's, within distance to get
Right,
back
to
before
do it
dark.
realistically.
And I'll set the precedence that I'm going to check ice for the possibility that I can fish tomorrow.
Okay.
And then I go and check the lakes, and this one's got 2 inches, this one's got 4. I'm definitely going back to the one with 4. I cut you off. Sorry, Mike.
no, you're good. Just, yeah, if you bring a rod, you're not going to another spot. Unless.
But that could be someone's MO is they want to fish, so they're going to go check ice until they find a lake that has fishable ice.
Right.
And this is the time I tell you, even if someone's out there fishing, check the ice.
Check
this time
the
of
ice.
year.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a big difference between Josh walking out on a lake and me walking out on a lake. Realistically.
Yeah.
And that's something that people need to realize. Just because it's safe for your neighbor's 10-year-old kid to go out doesn't mean it's safe for you to go out.
I've heard multiple times there's already been people missing and passed away this year. There's already been people falling through in rescues, not on Red Lake.
Right.
And both occasions, what was been told is somebody was already out on the lake. That person just assumed everything was safe. You don't know if the other people took the same path you were taking. You don't know if they spudded and found a thin spot and spudded around it. There's multiple times that you will spud out and you'll have 4 inches, 4 inches, 4 inches,
And then
4
all of a
inch,
sudden
1
it
inch.
goes through on the first whack.
Yeah, and I mean, and then that's not saying you can't go fishing. There's probably another route,
Yep.
but you have to know that route, and that's why you spud or at least drill or do something to check ice on your way out.
You can't check ice, 20 yards from shore and go, we got 6 inches, let's go.
So
Right.
yeah, on that radio show today, that was another thing we talked about, was the fact that all these new anglers, this is part of our job sitting here, is to help them understand the things that we've learned over a long period of time.
Yep.
Whether it's the fishing end of things or the safety end of things. It's our experiences, even though people think that we're blah, 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 whatever. No. Part of being a sportsman is wanting to see other sportsmen succeed and be safe.
Yep.
And
Share
the
the
last thing
knowledge.
we need is a black eye. Every time something happens, the sport gets a black eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether somebody gets shot, whether somebody dies falling through the ice, it doesn't matter. Boating accidents, any of that stuff gives the whole thing a black eye, and we don't want that as anglers. We just want you to be safe.
Yep.
Kind of like when you were a kid, your dad would tell you what he thought you should do.
And you had to go find out for yourself.
Well, but he would stop you if it was really bad.
Yeah.
This is a really bad situation. We're not saying this because we think we know better. We're saying this as we don't want people to die.
Yep.
Because that is legitimately what might happen.
Best piece of advice is, no matter what, do your own investigation.
Don't go off of
Any time of year. There's certain situations. You go to Lake of the Woods and you get a road pass. Those people are supposed to do their due diligence.
Yep.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean that I don't make sure I'm unbuckled, and I don't make sure, I make sure I'm unbuckled. I make sure,
windows are down,
Windows-
going across pressure edges. and-
the things that you need to do to help, because no ice is safe ice. It's about being precautionary. But right now, more than anything, please, 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 there's open water still in a lot of places. There's water that froze over last night
Yep.
that has less than an inch of ice. And people don't realize that. And to us, it's common sense.
Yeah.
But to the new anglers, we continually talk about how much this sport is growing. And we all, including myself, tend to forget that these people that are getting into it are clueless. And we don't understand that because we grew up with it. We've learned it from an early age. We've learned to, it's kind of like respecting a firearm. You have to respect your surroundings.
Yep. Yep. And I mean, back in the day, going out ice fishing as a youngster growing up, what have you, there was no YouTube. And that's one thing I see now is you get the social media push of ice fishing, first on ice. Where are they located?
Right.
A lot of that first on ice is hours north where it's much colder. And you might think, oh, they're on ice up there. Let's go ice fishing. Double check.
It's also 20 degrees colder there.
I always used to get the eye roll from a lot of people when we had the fish addictions thing going and the big staff and everything like that. I'd be like, go ice fishing, have fun. Don't post about it.
Yep. Not until
it's, that decently safe. Right? I don't want to give anybody any false hope, false expectations. They see you on a lake, they might go on a different lake and just assume it's safe. And I used to get a lot of grief for that, but it was all about the perception. I don't want, and in the position that we're in, I don't want to give anybody that false perception that it's safe.
Yep. And every lake is different. So here's an interesting thing that I learned this year. I was at a conference for work in Montana a few weeks back, and it was awesome because I work in technology, and this was all outdoorsmen at this conference, and we had a booth there. So it was just talk hunting and fishing the whole time, as well as a little bit of work on the side. But especially on reservoirs that let water out, or the water, not that let water out, that the water still is flowing in, the ice will form, and then that main sheet of ice, the lake will come up, and then you'll have 2 inches of ice around, but you've got a foot of ice out on the main sheet. And it was just something that I'd never thought of, and apparently this is pretty common in Montana and most of their reservoirs because they control the amount of water. They let it fill up over the winter to let water out for irrigation purposes over the summer. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, that's crazy. And he's like, yeah, the one guy I was talking to is like, yeah, some days we'll get out there on the ice and the wind will shift and it'll blow the main sheet away from where you accessed. And then you're kind of stuck. And he said that his ice sled is a canoe.
Oh,
just for that. And
that makes sense.
He said one time that happened and it shifted the whole ice sheet, and he was just running a shuttle back and forth with his canoe for people helping him get off the ice. Just things you don't think about. So I mean, every region has its different precautionary tales that you gotta know, and a lot of that's tribal knowledge within the community. And we got the ice safety videos out there that spot out, wear a float suit, wear cleats, bring picks. That's common sense to an extent. But there are so many variables in nature that you can't be taught. You have to experience, or you have to have someone that mentors you through that process to truly cover all your bases.
Well, it's something we take for granted. The cliche, talk to the local bait shop. That's kind of what it's about, right? I mean, a lot of people take that as, go get fishing information from the local bait shop.
No,
really
safety.
What it is part of that is the safety. Obviously, hopefully they'll give you a little tad bit of information on where the fish are and what's going on, point you in the right direction.
Support your local businesses.
But if some old guy at the bait shop says, be careful for this, you better be careful
Take
for
note
that.
of that.
Yeah, because
especially on
he probably didn't learn it from somebody saying, hey, be careful about this.
We got an underground spring or an underwater spring that flows in on this side that, just be careful of that area. Every lake is different. Every region has different types of lakes. I mean, North Dakota, most of it's potholes, or we've got the big lakes, and there's not a lot of current. There's not a lot of underwater springs. You get into Minnesota and you start bumping into more springs, and you've got to be more careful. And you got river systems connecting a lot of the lakes, and we've got river mouths coming in that are high current areas that the ice doesn't form the same as it does out in the middle of the lake. That's just all regional. And the Montana thing, that I was like, holy crap, I've never thought of that. Throughout the season, you've got to continuously check your ice. Yes, your main sheet is getting thicker and thicker, but every day it's coming up and you got thin ice around the edge. It's just something completely different.
Well, and it's a beast. I mean, especially if like that, it could blow, like you said, over to one side pretty easily without anybody even knowing what's going on for miles out on the lake.
Right. I thought it was crazy that time we were up on Green Bay fishing whitefish.
Ooh, yeah.
That was some of the scariest ice I've been on because it looked like he took the whole ice sheet and smashed it, and then it froze back together.
Yeah.
And I think we were on like 10 inches of ice, and we were a few miles out, but out there, it's because it's just the bay that's frozen, and you get a stiff wind come up a huge chunk. And there's been many times over the years where you hear on the news, 150 ice anglers stranded in Lake Michigan or stranded in Lake Superior. But the one thing that
We were very close that day.
I know, the one thing I took from that is that some of the locals up there will set a tip up. They're not fishing with it. They drop a weight down to the bottom, and then they set their flag. And if that ice sheet starts moving, it'll trip the flag.
Oh.
That's time to head for shore.
That's a good idea.
On when you have those situations
Yeah.
or those scenarios, I'm like, that is ingenious.
Yeah, because you moved 6 inches, all of a sudden it's like, and the ice sheet moved on us that day. And actually, the day we got back, we actually looked at the weather. We looked at Modus the next day or something like that. And the ice sheet that we were on was like 20 miles out.
Yeah.
It's a long way to skip a snowmobile.
We actually did have to, like, the guy we were with knew enough, and he had been talking to people that I felt relatively safe.
Until we got out there, you always get that you got the confidence in the guy bringing you out, and then you get out there and you start second guessing it, and you're uncomfortable, and then you're out there and you feel your comfort comes back.
Yeah, well, but on the way back,
Yeah,
the ice sheet had separated. We were on snowmobiles. The ice sheet had separated quite a ways to the point where we did not go back
the same way we
the
came.
same exact way we came, and we still had to go over fairly large open water to get across. And I had a fairly large person on my snowmobile because we were helping him.
Yeah, and you're in front of me, and you went over this big piece. It was probably 3 times the size of this table, and that piece of ice out in the middle it teetered, like it popped up and down, and I'm like,
Yeah. The guy on the back, like we're talking about new anglers, I'll never forget this. The guy that was on the back, he was a big boy, awesome guy, super nice guy, big boy. He was laughing. He had zero clue what was going on. Like zero clue that, like, I'm literally doing circles before I do this. I'm like, how fast am I going to have to hit this? Because there's open water, then a sheet. And I'm like, I got to get from open water to that sheet, back to the main sheet.
Yeah.
And this guy's just like, this is cool. Yeah. I'm like, guy, you don't even know. Like, you have zero clue. Like, I'm 1 foot off the snowmobile already, and you're going down with it, you know? And we went across, and he just was giggling, and Josh came by, and his eyes were just, I'm like, oh my, let's get off of here now.
Ignorance is bliss.
that was one day I felt a little uneasy. It felt really good to be back on dirt.
And we had a long drive home.
Yeah. Another one, I mean, we're talking early ice right now, but late ice is something that can be real sketchy too. I always say that late ice is more dangerous than early ice because for the most part, early ice, you're checking and that ice is continuing to grow.
Right.
Every day you wait, granted, we've got some weird weather patterns going now to where we've been above freezing today and we're going to be above freezing for the next few days. But generally that ice just continues to get thicker. But late ice, that whole ice sheet is starting to deteriorate, and it's very unpredictable. You'll get it to where it shards, and you got 2 feet of ice left, but there's soft spots that you can just drop. I've seen it late ice where a 4-wheeler's driving, and they're just pushing a wave, and you can hear the ice shards just the whole way. But you're on the machine, you don't hear that, and you might not realize that you're pushing this wave. But to a bystander, it's like, whoa, that doesn't sound safe.
Oh, we've had it many times where we're out, everything's nice and solid in the morning, and then by the time you're done,
you're looking around, and it's like this ice is turning black.
I remember the one time late ice, we're out fishing, and we're concentrating, we're fishing, we're moving, we're doing everything, and the ice was just nice and white in the morning. And I looked up halfway through the afternoon, I'm like,
We should think about getting out of here.
This doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Pure black water just coming through all the ice. Now we got from early ice to late ice, but it's just interesting things that go on.
Yeah, ice is unpredictable at best.
I have not iced a fish yet,
I
which
haven't
is
either.
crazy, but we did just finish deer hunting yesterday. I don't know that I'm totally done, but I'm done.
I might try and sneak out one night this week before the show because the next.
You're done. Josh can keep hunting.
Yeah. I did not fill my tag.
Yeah,
You're done.
I'm done, I guess.
We've
Mom.
We've got other stuff to do.
But we're gonna
patient.
get right. It's one of those things where we just got to start going in the right direction. You know, we got the camper to put on, which you guys are gonna see. We're traveling around with the pickup camper. It's gonna be. We've already talked about it. It's real. It's gonna happen. We've got a couple new additions to the fleet this year that I think we'll just let that roll out on its own. We got, I think I was just talking to my wife the other day and she's like, well, what do you think about the camper situation? I'm like, I don't know. It's something we've never done. So we did the ice house last year, which was awesome.
Yep.
It's an awesome ice house. There was a lot of pluses to it. There was a lot of, I wouldn't call it downfalls, but you really learn what works for you and what doesn't. And by far, my favorite ice house I've ever owned, I've ever had. It just limited us to what we were doing for fish addictions.
The way that we need to travel, we need to have
It's not conducive to
a
being-
bigger trailer. We need to have a dedicated trailer.
Yeah.
Well, you can't get the Ranger and the 4-wheeler and ice houses and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
in
because
there.
we're not bringing one vehicle with us.
Right.
It's an absolute beautiful. It's the most. It's
The most accommodating and
Oh my
comfortable ice
God,
house
it was-
I've been in.
there were so many pluses to it.
I would say it's probably one of the best fish houses for the average to serious angler.
Yeah, I mean it had everything.
Yeah.
Had everything. But you really learn.
It's just not.
We strive to do something different every year with fish addictions, and that was definitely different. And we pulled that thing, had a lot of miles on it, a lot of farts, a lot of good times, and it's going to be at a new home, and somebody's going to love it. And I wonder. I don't even know where I'm going with this. I'm just trying to think of.
We're going to be ice fishing gypsies.
Yeah, we are. Who knows where we're going to end up? Mm-hmm. Are you going to have a special dog crate for your dog in the trailer?
I mean, I could.
I mean, why not?
I have like 6 dog kennels.
Why?
Well, because I have one that fits in my truck. I have one that's bigger that I keep him in his like.
Oh, yeah.
Like on the everyday, because the one that I keep in my truck has to fit in the back seat. So it's not as big as the one that I keep him in at home. I keep one at my parents' house.
And I'm still kind of hoping my wife gets me a puppy for Christmas. So maybe we'll have a friend.
Well, that'll be fun. I don't think I should bring Merle. He's a little too high energy.
I want a puppy.
I mean, you are an adult. You could buy your own.
I am married with 4 kids and 2 other dogs. But for those of you that I had a dog that I had for a long time, that was the best dog I've ever met in my life. Passed away this summer. Rest in peace, Gracie. And I just kind of miss her.
Yeah.
I believe it.
And
She was a great dog.
I want a puppy.
Losing a good hunting dog is sometimes worse than losing a not so good relative.
Well, and Gracie went beyond being a good hunting dog.
Yeah.
I mean, she
Family
was,
dog, companion, all of the above.
The guardian of the Olsen household.
you know, everybody says that they have a good dog, you know, and they're normally right. You know, everybody believes their dog is the best. I never once thought that about my dogs, knowing that Gracie existed. Like my dogs have been second best.
You know that Gracie was never once tied up in her life? Never. Like,
She just wandered the yard.
Never once locked up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Never once.
yeah. She just had free reign.
15 and a half, almost 16 years old.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome dog. But anyways, I know, Laura, we don't want to need a puppy right now. I understand, but I just want one. That's all. I'm not going to have a puppy. I mean, it's like a 99.9% chance I'm not having a puppy to bring with.
What if this video gets 500 likes?
Don't work that one out with me, son. If I had my way, we'd have a puppy already.
Well, I know, but figured this way. You know.
I don't need 500 likes for a puppy. But it's just one of those things. It should be fun. You know, it's a weird year because like now we're getting back to shows. We're getting back to it's just, you know, everybody said last year had a different feel, which it did. This year's just a different feel, just from life in general. Like if I had to be totally honest with you, it's just this whole year has felt weird all the way through. And the way even like the industry is changing and people are absorbing the stuff that we're doing differently and how we're having to change. I mean, man, I went from being a young kid thinking, man, the best thing, like my dream was to have a show on the same channel as Jason Mitchell and stuff like that. We did that. We did it successfully. But we made the weird call to not do it last year, which was the right call. And we got different platforms, but it's just a weird transition. It almost feels like you left it wrong or whatever, but obviously our numbers showed different.
Right. Yep. It's like you met your hero, you hung out with your hero, and now you're looking for now your hero is a person and you're looking for that next hero.
I mean, I suppose.
Yeah.
I'm just excited. I just need to get going. We need to get going. Yep. We need to get really rolling. And once we do,
after going to a couple ice shows, it's gonna light that fire.
I think so. And the fire's there. Don't get me wrong. It just feels weird. We didn't have snow last year. We don't really have snow now. It's the ice is. It seems like every year we're having less of middle time.
We were talking about this at the Deer Shack this weekend about, you know, previous year's deer hunting when we were younger, how much snow we had, how cold it was. And it seems like every year winter is being pushed back a week, or, you know what I mean? It's just, it's a longer wait to get to that true winter feel, that North Dakota brutal, you know.
I do want to talk about, I know we're kind of talking about this year's season with fish addictions, but we're going to roll out just kind of a different platform. So people don't know, as we've talked about, but we don't have like a full-time staff anymore. Josh was part of that full-time staff. He has reached out and wanted to still be a part of what's going on with fish addictions. And we're doing it from a different angle, basically. And all the guys, we're still buddies with all of them. Jim, Taylor, Anthony,
not that
Chris.
No, we're still friends with Chris.
Chris Rothmeyer?
Yeah.
I like you, Chris.
Yeah, dude.
He's probably listening to this.
I know. That's why
now
I
he
had
hates
to give
you.
him shit. But he doesn't hate me because of that. He hates me because I'm the Rock Bass Sheriff. I get it right.
Yeah. I just think it opens the door for everything that goes on. And it opens the door for us to fish with all the people that enjoy the show. We're going to be traveling, like literally traveling gypsies.
Yep.
It's going to be a little bit weird. It's going to be different for us. So bear with us. But once we get going, you guys are going to get sick of us. Hopefully not sick of us, but you're going to be wondering, what the hell are these guys doing? Where are they at? You want to see the epitome of truck camping? Like, you will see a dirty pair of underwear somewhere along the way. Not on me, but probably in the corner of the truck camper.
I hope.
Maybe on you. I don't know.
You've seen me in my dirty underwear.
I have. When we went up to Canada, you took a swim.
No, but we're going to have a lot of fun and really would like to get the viewers involved a little bit this year and check out some of those weird bites that we've maybe never had the chance to do. We've always been held to a schedule.
Yep.
And last year we weren't really held to a schedule, but we were so used to being held to a schedule, it kind of ended up being that way. So when we're gone, we're going to go. We're going to show up. We're going to have fun. And we're going back kind of to the roots of what Fish Addictions all started with. We're going to go. We're going to have a lot of fun. It might be Josh with us. It might be Taylor with us. It might, the door's wide open. we're going to go. It might be you with us,
Yeah.
you know? So, I mean,
We're gonna have some fun giveaways.
I thought you said we needed to stop giving shit away to people.
No,
I'm just kidding.
No.
I'm just kidding. Thor, I was going to make him the bad guy for a second.
I
He
have
hates
spent
Chris. No.
Damn it, Chris.
we've got some fun giveaways that are in the works that we've been working out with some sponsors directly.
We started the whole giveaway thing. We got to be the biggest and the best. We started it. We kind of did.
Yeah.
Fight with me if you think we didn't, but we did.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who would have.
Yeah. Well, we had to get people to watch us. It was stuff was such horse shit. Then, just kidding.
Maybe people will watch then. I like it.
But anyways, we really didn't get a lot talked about, but we will be at the shows. St. Paul Ice Show will be there. Fargo Ice Show will be there. Come say hi and just BS with us. And
Yeah.
Just talk fishing. Let us know if you've been out, where you been.
give us all your secrets.
If you got a hot bite, just let us know about it, not where it's at 100%. There's a chance we
Yeah, what
might
the heck?
show up.
I mean,
What, you give us as much information
yeah,
as you
yeah. If they want to
Yeah.
share it, like they're more
Yeah.
than welcome to. Like, I'm not saying no to coordinates.
There's some really big things that could happen this year that are in the works that are
Yep.
could be a lot of fun. Could be. I just really want to see. I don't want to force this year.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. It's like
That's-
the no bound. I've been calling it to everybody the no boundaries tour.
Yeah.
Like, do we go
The one
to Cascade? Do we go up to the mountains? Do
Right.
we? Why not? Right? I mean, as long as the pickup can get us there, I'm still a little torn on having this damn pickup camper in the back of my truck.
it looks good.
Yeah, it does look cool.
Doesn't look as goofy as you thought it would.
It's pretty bitchin'.
It looks pretty goofy.
Nah.
It looks goofy.
It'd look goofy if we put it in the box of the Ranger.
It didn't look goofy to you guys because I don't got big old buckles coming down the side, and it looks goofy.
Nah, we'll figure it out.
It's gonna be fine. It looks goofy.
It's gonna be bitchin'.
It looks goofy.
The one thing that I think is going to be a big benefit is we pick a location, go to that location. We don't necessarily have to make it happen to make a schedule,
Right.
so it gives gives some flexibility to pull the plug on a certain bite and move to another bite.
We can spend some time getting the local knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Because who knows? We could roll up to places and be like, oh, yeah, we're going to go out and fish here because, there's supposed to be some really good perch fishing there. And the guy at the bait shop's like, idiots. No, there's not. But then, you go into his bait shop 5 more times and he's like, all right, guys, here's the deal.
Right.
This is the juice. You should probably, I wanted to see how long you'd stick it out. Here's the honey hole. I'll be out there at 3.
Meet me at dark.
Meet me at dawn. Smell differently when you're awake.
You smell different when you're awake.
All right.
So weird.
One thing,
Is that a TikTok?
No.
Thor, you smell different when you're Thor.
I believe that's a Brian
You
Cons thing.
smell different. No. Hunters Helping Heroes, that guy said that to Nancy.
I don't know.
oh, that's creepy.
At
I
Lake
wasn't
of the
there for
Woods.
that. I wasn't there
One
for
of the
that.
guys looked at her and said, you smell different when you're awake. And she was like,
I'm going to go over here now.
I never forgot that. And it is definitely weird.
I think I'd just say thank you.
One thing we've been kicking around a little bit is going out to each location with a challenge. And I think it'd be cool if you guys could comment some challenges for us to consider. Be it catch a limit of walleyes on a Swedish Pimple for the first time,
Yep.
or whatever you get creative with.
I know there's going to be the cliche no electronics, Barbie rods.
We should do a palm rod episode.
Can we just go fly fishing?
We can do that. I've been after you to do that for years.
It's bad when that's the alternative.
Yeah.
I held the palm rod once. Just, I don't know.
They're fun.
Okay.
That's where you can have some fun with some little perch.
Yeah. But all right, guys. Well, Thor wanted to just BS and talk about random stuff, and you got what you got.
Yeah.
Actually, you had a little bit of a plan, and the plan did not happen.
Yeah, we derailed it.
I mean, we touched on it. We talked about ice shows. You talked about Fargo. You talked about the live streaming of the seminars.
Yeah.
Got it in there.
We got it in.
Well, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning into this. If you guys got things that you want to hear us talk about and BS about, I mean, that's what it's about. We're not here to have a structured, we try to structure, but not structure. But
We'll have some talking points and just see where it goes.
well, guys, next time you see us, we will have been on the ice somewhere, someplace, somewhere, doing something. Hopefully we'll have some updates on the truck camper.
Oh, yeah.
And the trailer and the new addition to the Fish Addictions fleet, which I'm kind of really excited about. I know my family's excited about it.
I'm pretty excited. I've told a lot of, I haven't told a lot of people.
Yes, you have, because other people have been like, I heard you got this.
I've told like 3 people.
Okay. Guys,
I've told 3 people that care.
this is Fish Addictions, the real talk. I know you don't care, but we're out of here.